Three, two, one. This is the Rich Report bringing you the richest content across entertainment. And we've got a special video today. I'm going to start doing these little one-on-one segments where we just really talk about anything the guest is interested in. And today we have a special guest in Nayomi Garcia, one of my bosses at the Lumberjack. Naomi's awesome, and she really enjoys a lot of music, and she's more on the culture side of things. So, Naomi, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what your role is as one of my bosses at the Lumberjack.
Okay, hello. So this semester I was promoted to copy chief at the newspaper. So that basically means like I have to read every story that goes into print and edit it for grammar mistakes, fact checking, AP style. And then we also like edit the stories going online, me and Nathan, who's the managing editor. And then yeah, I'm just very excited to be here and I'm very thankful Cam chose me for this.
Yeah, and as a guy, I've been getting a lot of flack for watching The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, but they're terrible shows, terrible ideas, but I needed some entertainment, some more what would you say, more diversity in what I watch. So I decided to check it out. And also it's a supportive family because my cousin works on the show as a producer. So I'm going to show some love to my family in whatever work they do. And so I'm going to tune into The Bachelor and Bachelorette to support them. And while it's a guilty pleasure, I've actually found myself to be quite frustrated in the seasons I've watched. Last season, the last Bachelor, Peter, garbage, pure garbage. He chose the wrong people for all the wrong reasons. His mom was the most annoying person I think I've ever come across on television.
Yep.
And now we have one of the more intriguing seasons that we've seen. Claire Crawley was the original Bachelorette, and that went to utter chaos and despair early on as she picked her winner night one in the first 10 seconds of meeting him in Dale Moss. And Naomi, I just wanted to get your thoughts on that because there's been some mixed reaction I've talked to with people that also have watched the show where they kind of support her for just making her decision and not really leading these guys on any further. If this was her set in stone man from the very beginning, just go ahead and leave with it. But also, of course, there's a negative side where it's like you didn't give any of these guys a chance. They came all the way out to California for you, and you just screwed them a couple days in. So I want to know where you stand with Claire.
Yeah, so personally, I thought Claire, from the beginning, I was kind of shocked that she was chosen since she is older, like she's like 39. And I don't know, I thought it was kind of messed up of her not to give anybody else a chance. And I also really disliked that when she would go like on group dates, she would ask the guys about Dale, like, "Oh, how is Dale doing with this?" Like I don't know, I thought it was just some childish behavior. But I mean, I guess I can understand that she really enjoyed him, but I think it would have been more fair if she had given the other guys a chance because whenever she was with somebody else, it was just dry. And I don't know. I feel like I would have had my time wasted. Like I would have been upset if I were in the men's shoes of filming the show.
Yeah, but I think it's kind of this refreshing take where it's like, okay, we finally get a contestant that or a bachelorette that knows what they want. And Claire knows what she wanted. And I can appreciate that. But also I do feel for these guys that flew out, thousands of miles, left their family. Some of them even had kids
Yeah.
and decided, hey, we're looking for love. And they just get screwed like that. But also, I don't feel bad for them in the sense that they chose to come on this show that's incredibly dumb and can end so poorly and just ruin. It could ruin. It could ruin your life if you do come out to be, a garbage person or something like this. It's going to destroy. It's gonna have. It's gonna take a major toll on you, regardless of the outcome, whether you win it or you don't win it. Because now the spotlight and the social media fame is now on you. You can't ever leave what you've done. So. And it inserts Tasha Adams, who she was pretty cool.
Queen.
I think I watched a couple episodes of Bachelor in Paradise, and she was pretty cool. And I think it was the right decision for the Bachelor Nation to go and choose her to be the Bachelorette. And she comes on, and I think it just went to total turmoil and chaos because these men were like, okay, now it's just gonna be us, and we get another chance. Some of them left because they still had feelings for Claire, and they just they couldn't be on they couldn't do Tayshia right because they still had feelings for Claire, but insert 4 new men out of the blue, and it just drives the men even crazier than what they already were after being screwed by Claire, specifically Noah and Spencer. Spencer walks in and immediately says, "Which one of y'all drove Claire away?" And every dude wanted to beat Spencer to a bloody pulp. And then Noah obviously breaks this pretty much this code of, okay, if we're on a group date and you're not, don't join in. And he obviously hops in. This has been a trend this season, is dudes breaking really the code and trying to really gain an advantage in a game. And look, I see where they're going. I understand what they're trying to do, because at the end of the day, this is really a game show. It's a reality show. People go home. It really works as a game. So I want to know, is this breaking of, okay, I'm going to go after hours and go hang out with Tayshia, or I'm going to hop in on this group date that I'm not a part of? Is that okay? Or should they be following a code that you shouldn't break for this show?
I kind of thought that there should be like some rules, because I had never really gotten into Bachelor Nation until like I started on Colton's season, like off and on. So I'm not like a true like diehard fan, because I just recently got into it. But I feel like this season is like very different in that they're showing up at her door like in the middle of the night, and then Noah, the group date thing. Like, I think there should be like a code, especially because she gave him the group date rose when he jumped the fence, and that pissed all the guys off. So it's like, I don't know. She does have some questionable choices, though. I will say that. Like, also, why is Ed still there? Like, what are these guys doing? I don't know. I think there should be a code though, because I think that keeps the show more like contained. And but then again, it's a reality show, so there's gonna be like some drama in it. So I get it, like why they do that stuff.
Yeah, and I kind of compare it to shows I watch like Big Brother, where you always try to gain a foot above the rest of your competition. But I'm
Yeah.
like, this is not for prize money. You're fighting for love, which is why the show is so stupid, because you're playing a game show. But then again, this is your life. Big Brother, while there still can be personal consequences of how people view you after the fact, you're not going to be ruined by love, unless there happens to be a showmance on Big Brother, which always end up terribly. But that's beside the point. I just don't know where this season's going, because there's guys that I really think are great for Tayshia, but then there's guys that I'm like, okay, these guys are really bad.
Yeah.
And I think Tayshia's gonna be one of those that falls for it, ends up taking them to the suite, and then possibly ends up getting down on one knee and proposing to them. But I don't know where it stands. I want to get your thoughts on this absolute character in Bennett. He comes on, he's just this Harvard, like, comes off as like this total rich douchebag. But then at points I'm like, this dude's actually pretty funny and just being himself. And I think we rarely get those people that act like themselves because they know they're on TV and they sort of got to heighten up this character. But I really think this is how Bennett acts in his real life. So I want to know what your thoughts are on this guy and this little rivalry he's got going on with good old young Noah.
Yeah, so like if I'm being completely honest, I did not like Bennett when he first showed up. Like, what was your scarf, dude? Like, what is that? You're in California, like it's hot. And also like when I think it was the group date, they were like the manly men challenge or whatever. How did you get into Harvard, sir? You didn't even get the math questions right. Like, I got them right. I am a journalism major. I don't get it. But yeah, I think I do agree that he's not heightening his personality, like that's who he is. But at the same time, it's like I don't think he needed to bring Noah down the way he did this week with like the present and stuff. Because I really don't get why he has so much beef with Noah. Like, I might have forgotten what started that, but I just don't get it. Like, why he's dragging him all the time and like just picking on him essentially. And I really dislike that he calls him young Noah. Like, you're old too, so like why are you saying that? I don't know. I'm not a fan of him, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I just feel like the original group that they had, I think they all had, sort of this, bond, this odd bond with all of each other. And while there were some little rivalries, like Chasen and Ed. My God, what a joke that was.
Yes.
And, you know, these new guys come in and it's like, oh, now we've all of a sudden become favorites. We're going to do what we want. And so that kind of pushed them the wrong way. And they're already on edge because they were screwed over by Claire. So they have a lot of, you know, animosity built up inside them. And of course, it's going to be taken out on these newer guys, especially guys who are vastly younger than Claire, vastly younger than Tayshia, and vastly younger than themselves. So I was only expected that they were going to go off on somebody. And of course, Noah becomes a scapegoat for really all their anger that they've experienced this season. And so lastly, I want to know from you, who do you think is the favorite right now? I think for me, I think the clear favorite is Ivan. I think he's sort of this fan favorite, and I think they had the best one-on-one date so far in this show. I think I'm trying to remember the first one she had. Brendan and Ivan, I think, had the two best dates of them by far.
Definitely.
And so I think those two are really at the forefront in my eye, and those two I think are best fit for Tayshia right at the moment.
I also think Zach is like a pretty good contender because he got very open with her this week when he was telling her about his problems with addiction, depression, when he was like in his early 20s, I think. I just really admired him for putting that out there. But then again, I also really liked Ivan's conversation with her, like bringing up Black Lives Matter and George Floyd. I really respected that he brought that up. Because I think it should be talked about on a show, even if it's like it's a silly show, but it should still like be important, especially because she came out, she's like, I'm Black and half Mexican, so I think it's an important thing to make. I also really like Ben. Ben is my personal favorite. I think he did get a little cocky in the beginning when he was like not getting the time with her, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, can I go talk to you, and she shut him down. I think it was right of her to shut him down because he was getting a little cocky. So I think that was a good choice on her behalf. But I really like him, and I like that he was also very open in his the self-portrait thing. Like, it makes more sense once he said that he had problems with eating disorders. I was like, oh, okay, now I know why he did that. So I really respect a lot of the guys on there so far.
Yeah, I think what's saving the season really is that they're good guys. Like, they have a lot of baggage that they've carried onto the show, and they're actually, expressing themselves and, not being afraid to be them or just tell who they are in front of, all these men. I think still that bond is there between most of them. Of course, there's some outliers, but I think I don't think it's going to be as toxic as past seasons. I think, there's a level of respect I think they all have for each other. And aside from the Bennett and Noah drama, I don't really see stuff falling apart between the men. I think whatever drama we see now for the rest of the season is going to be between Tayshia and the rest of the men. Sure, tension will pick up naturally because you're still fighting for love, but I think there's still that respect there, and I think it's going to lead to a pretty satisfying ending.
Oh, yeah, I completely agree. And I don't know, I'm hoping that next week she sends both Bennett and Noah, because I was a little mad that they ended it like on such a cliffhanger. But I don't know, I'm hoping they both go home because it's just too childish, and like I don't think the other guys deserve to put up with that when they're actually there for her, not for like their stupid drama. So yeah, I'm hoping they go home.
Yeah, I think only one will go home. I think it'll be Bennett just because he's really bullying Noah this time around. And Tayshia's seeing that, and she's like, okay, I can't deal with that anymore. And I think she really has a connection with Noah that maybe is going to favor Noah over Bennett. So I think Bennett really goes home and Noah stays. And while I don't want to see it, and what my dislike for Noah's kind of taken over once we see him go home, I think the consensus is that Bennett will be going home next Tuesday.
I hope so.
All right. Something that makes me even more mad is the lack of recognition that good music normally gets on a yearly basis for the Grammy Awards. The Recording Academy usually always gets it wrong, and this dates back to when The Heist by Macklemore, while it's not a terrible album. It doesn't age well, but it wasn't terrible when it came out. One rap album of the year over A Good Kid, Mad City. It dates all the way back to that. So I already have a hatred for the Recording Academy as there is. And this year makes absolutely no sense because one of the most pop-friendly albums of the year, one of the most radio-friendly, one of the most accessible albums of the year, and still being a really good album was The Weeknd's After Hours. And it did not receive a single nomination, not in the pop field, not in the R&B field, and not in the general field. And I'm just like, why? There's really no explanation for it, because it came out at a decent time in March, right before the pandemic hit. So there was really like no excuse to not listen to it, and you had all this time post-pandemic or during the pandemic to listen to it, and it still received nothing. I'm just like, what point did it hit that the Recording Academy said, no, we aren't using this album at all. We're not nominating it for anything. And then I look at some of the other albums, some of the other songs on there. I'm just like, you're saying these songs are better than anything that came off of After Hours. And I'm just completely shocked on why it didn't receive any noms. So Naomi, can you help figure this out? Why did The Weeknd get absolutely no love from the Recording Academy this year?
I do not have an answer to that question because I think it should have at least been nominated for something, especially Blinding Lights. Like, come on. It was on the radio like all the time. It blew up on TikTok, like the dance, the Blinding Lights dance. So I don't know. I don't understand, because I do agree it was radio friendly compared to like his previous like albums and singles. It was definitely more like for radio releases, but I don't know. I really don't get it. I really enjoyed the album. Not my favorite from The Weeknd, but I thought it was like worthy enough to be at the Grammys. But I mean, he's gonna be at the Super Bowl, so I guess he can't be too upset.
Yeah, and like I was like, okay, maybe there's better noms out there and we can get a more competitive race here. But then I look at the general field of like record of the year, and I see Doja Cat on there, and I'm like,
Yeah,
Blinding Lights is there, one of the best songs of the year, one of my favorite songs of the year, and Doja Cat shows up for record of the year, and I'm just like, what are we missing here that the Recording Academy loves about Doja Cat, but not anything off of After Hours? I'm completely blindsided here. And then we get on album of the year, an album that came out last summer in Post Malone's Hollywood's Bleeding, which, okay, there are some good tracks here and there, but it's not in general this great record worthy of, going back and listening to and then saying, okay, yes, definitely a nomination. It's very weird. So, but I want to know from you, what do you think is the most competitive category, and who do you want to see really take a couple awards home for the Grammys this year?
Yeah, so I definitely have to say Harry needs to win something. Harry Styles has to win something. I think he definitely deserves it. I think he grew a lot from his first album, his self-titled album, to Fine Line. Like, there was definite growth. So I think it should take something home. Maybe not his album nomination, but definitely like maybe the Watermelon Sugar, like the single. Um, I also think Taylor Swift deserves something because Folklore was totally different from like her previous stuff. And like, I'm not a Swiftie, but I do like her music. But it's just totally new for her, and I really respected her for trying something new, and I think it's worthy of a Grammy win for sure. Um, I'm pretty sure Billie Eilish is on there again, right?
Yeah, I think she got a couple noms for her song "Everything I Wanted." She didn't come out with an album this year, but she at least has that song. I haven't listened to it yet, but Billie Eilish is great. I don't have any qualms with her, and if she walks out with an award, good for her.
Yeah, like I like that song, but I just like, in my opinion, I find Billie a little bit overrated. Like when she took up home like this year over Ariana Grande, that she got more. That was like, I don't understand that, because Ariana Grande she wrote 2 albums in like the span of months. Like, come on, and you didn't give her anything. And Billie Eilish is so young too. Like, I think she like should work a little bit more and get up there to win. I don't think she should have won like quickly. I do respect Billie though. I do like Everything I Wanted, but I don't know. That part was just a little weird to me that she's on there again.
Now, I think that's where we disagree, because I'm not a big Ariana Grande fan, or my fandom has sort of tapered off with her recent records, because she was always someone early on when she really popped into the music scene where I was just blown away by her voice. I think she had one of the most powerful voices that we heard in music for a very long time.
Mhm.
And then she started tapering off into this trend where her songs are overproduced. And I think the sound and the mood of the songs really became the focal point over her voice, because she's got a phenomenal voice. But I just feel like the songs and the records she's come out with recently just have taken that away. So I want to know just what you think of that, and you can you agree with me somewhere?
I don't think I agree with you because I think maybe not in positions or thank you next, like vocal wise, but I think Sweet and her voice shines through a lot and like her high notes and everything. I do have to say positions wasn't really like focusing on her vocals, like it's more like poppy music. Since she did work on it during quarantine, so I guess it kind of makes sense that it's not too focused on her vocals. Um, but I don't know. I'm a fan of her, and I think she deserved better at the previous Grammys for sure.
Yeah, I'm not like being an Ariana Grande hater, because when her live performances are
Yeah,
incredible, like I cannot take that away. Where it's a different for like a weekend where it's like a vibe, and you can the songs are fun, but then when you hear them live, it's like, okay, I can see why these are sort of over auto-tuned a lot, because you are not the best live performer. I think what I really enjoy, something good to take away from this year's Grammy nominations, is the rock album is very loaded, and it's packed with a ton of very talented women. Best rock performances. I mean, you got Fiona Apple on here, Phoebe Bridgers, who I just dropped a review for. Great record. The Haim record has gotten a lot of praise, and Brittany Howard has always been a tremendous artist. So a really competitive field in the rock category, and all from a bunch of talented women as well. So it's good to see women get the shine in the rock category, and just see great talent as well, because there isn't a record on there that I don't like or have any hate for, because they're all fantastic in their own way, and there's really no loser there, because at least they got their noms. Of course you're going to hate it for whoever loses, but I think there's no wrong winner here in any of these alternative or rock categories.
hmm yeah. I think I'd like to see the Strokes take home Best Rock Album. I was a big fan of it, and like I don't think they had released music in a while. I'm not sure if I'm correct on that, but I think it was a really good album. That'd be cool to see them win for that.
Yeah, and then I think probably the best category overall is the best alternative music album, where you got Fiona Apple's Fetch the Bolt Cutters, Phoebe Bridgers' Punisher, Brittany Howard on there, and then what's making me nervous is seeing that Tame Impala on there. I'm like, I know how much people love Tame Impala, but unlike many people, I did not love the Slow Rush. I don't think it's one of their better records. There are great tracks, because Tame Impala is great, but this wasn't one of their better records. I found it pretty weak and kind of boring at some point. So, did you ever get a chance to listen to it?
I listened to a few off of it. I do agree it wasn't my favorite album. Um, Definitely. What's the second one? Borderline. What's it called?
Yeah.
I forget. Borderlines. That's definitely like their best one, in my opinion. But I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see who they pick because I think Fiona Apple is definitely really like a good choice there. So I don't know. I think that's going to be an interesting category.
And one of my, two of my favorite genres of music being the R&B and rap genres, I am quite disappointed. Like the categories have faded so low over the days. I mean, when Cardi B won for her album, which one, she's an annoying rapper, two, the album was not good, and then she ended up winning. I was like, okay, what are we doing now? And I
Agreed.
just look at these R&B noms, I'm just like, where? Like, Beyonce, we know, absolute legend, and she's not going to release bad stuff, but still, I'm like, I didn't like, I heard there was all this ton of love, but I didn't really see Black Parade really pop off. I like, sure, when it first came out, a lot of people were praising it, but I was like, I didn't really see any long sustained love for it. Sure, it might be good, but I haven't, listened to it enough to where it's like, okay, I see where this is coming from. Brittany Howard, great, sure, have her win an R&B performance record, even though she's really uh more in the rock genre kind of wave. Yeah, the R&B album just I hope Chloe and Hal win by default because really the other albums just aren't on that level. And then hopefully rap album, hopefully goes to Freddie Gibbs. Because when I see old Nas on here, I see Royce the 5'9", I see Jay Electronica and D Smoke. It's like Freddie is on this whole other category above them. I'm just like, no.
Also, like
Give Fred
Savage is on there. I
I
don't know.
give
That's about it.
just give Freddie the award and I will be happy with the Grammys. That's it for me. So anything else to add on before we wrap this up?
I don't think so. No. Or did you have like another topic in mind?
I really had just the just Bachelorette and the Grammys, but of course, we'll have you on in the future. Of course, if the Bachelor becomes even worse than what it's already been, of course, we need another debrief. But I think,
Recap. We can do a recap.
yeah, we're good for now. So, Naomi, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate you coming on, and I believe if you want me to, I can tag your Instagram in the description or put it in your graphic. But I don't know, are you on Facebook or Twitter at all where we can promote some of your work?
My Twitter is at NayoGars13. So it's NayoGarcia, my last name 13. And then my Instagram is Nayomi Garcia 3.
I also link her work with the Lumberjack as well, so you can check that out. She writes some great album reviews, and she writes a lot of great. You had a couple feature stories as well, correct?
Yes, I wrote for sports this semester, a feature, and then all my other stuff is like in the culture section.
Well, again, thank you, Naomi, for coming on, and looking forward to have you on down the road.
Thank you so much.
That'll do it for this episode. I don't know what to call this. I'll come up with a name for it soon, but until then, until I come with a name, we will see you next time on the Ridge Report. Make sure to listen to the podcast on Monday. We will see you next time.